The red sun set on the horizon, casting a surreal glow over the alien landscape, making the sand dunes look like they were on fire. The light played tricks on the eyes, creating an illusion of a living, breathing planet. Tiny bits of dust danced in the fading light as Captain James Blackwood climbed down from his spaceship. Each step he took was deliberate, his boots sinking slightly into the soft alien sand. He stepped onto the red sand of Kepler 186f, a planet many, many light-years away from Earth. The ground felt different, almost spongy, as if it had a life of its own. 1,000,000 stars shone brightly above him like diamonds scattered on black velvet. The constellations were unfamiliar. A reminder of just how far he was from home. He had travelled a long way, wanting to discover new things, wanting to stand on the edge of space. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with moments of doubt and wonder. James took off his helmet and took a deep breath of the strange air. It was a risk, but one he was willing to take to fully experience this new world. It smelled like ozone and something sweet, like desert flowers after rain, even though he knew it never rained on this planet. The scent was intoxicating, filling him with a sense of euphoria. It was very, very quiet, except for the soft sound of wind blowing over the sand. The silence was almost deafening, a stark contrast to the constant noise of his spaceship. Here, on this planet, lit by the glow of a setting sun, he felt totally alone, but strangely peaceful. The solitude was a welcome change, giving him time to reflect on his journey and the vastness of the universe. In the distance he could see towering mountains, their peaks shrouded in mist. They seemed to call to him, promising new adventures and discoveries. As the night grew darker, James began to set up camp. He knew he would need rest for the days ahead, filled with exploration and the unknown. Lying under the stars, he felt a deep connection to the universe. It was a feeling of belonging, of being a part of something much larger than himself. As he closed his eyes and drifted to sleep, he knew that this was just the beginning of his journey on Kepler 186f. Something moved at the edge of his vision. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but enough to set his nerves on edge. The desert was usually still at this hour, the only movement being the gentle sway of the sparse vegetation in the cool night breeze. James turned, his hand going to the laser pistol on his hip. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing in his ears. He had been in dangerous situations before, but this felt different. There was an eerie calmness in the air, a silence that seemed to whisper secrets. A figure appeared from the swirling dust, becoming clearer in the starlight. It moved with an ethereal grace, almost as if it were gliding rather than walking. The dust seemed to part for it, creating a halo of shimmering particles around its form. Taller than a human, slim and graceful, it moved like nothing on Earth. Its movements were fluid, almost hypnotic, drawing James in despite his initial fear. He couldn't take his eyes off the figure, mesmerized by its otherworldly presence. James wasn't scared anymore, just amazed as the figure came closer. His fear melted away, replaced by a sense of wonder and curiosity. Who or what was this being, and why did it feel so familiar yet so alien? It was unlike anything he'd ever seen, but somehow beautiful. There was a delicate balance in its features, a harmony that spoke of a different kind of beauty, one that transcended human understanding. It was as if the stars themselves had crafted this being. Her skin shimmered like polished jade in the starlight, catching the faint light of the distant suns. Each movement caused a ripple of light to dance across her body, creating an almost hypnotic effect. It was a sight that James knew he would never forget. Her face was delicate, almost like a fairy, framed by long silver hair that flowed behind her like liquid moonlight. The hair seemed to have a life of its own, moving gently as if caressed by an invisible breeze. It added to her ethereal beauty, making her seem even more otherworldly. But it was her eyes that caught his attention, large, bright, and so intelligent they took his breath away. They seemed to hold the secrets of the universe, a depth of knowledge and wisdom that was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. James felt as if she could see right through him, understanding his very soul. They shone with a light that seemed to come from inside her, like two stars burning brightly. It was a light that spoke of hope, of endless possibilities, and of a connection that transcended time and space. In that moment, James knew that his life would never be the same again. She stopped a short distance away, tilting her head as she looked at him. Her eyes scanned him, looking at his spacesuit, his equipment, the way he stood. He felt strangely exposed under her gaze. He raised his hand to say hello, not knowing if she would understand. She smiled, and her face lit up with joy. "Welcome, traveler," she said, her voice like the sound of beautiful bells. James stared, shocked. She hadn't spoken English, but he understood her perfectly, as if her thoughts went straight into his mind. He realized that they didn't need to speak the same language. They were communicating without words, a meeting of minds under a sky full of stars. He swallowed. "Thank you," he said, his voice a bit shaky. "It's an honor to meet you." He pointed at the sky. "Your world is incredible." She smiled wider and looked up at the stars. "We call it Kailos," she whispered. "It is a world of peace, shaped by the rhythms of the cosmos." He looked up with her, amazed by how many stars there were. He'd never seen anything like it. From Earth, the Milky Way was a faint smudge, but here it was a river of light, flowing through the darkness. Millions and millions of stars, each one a distant sun, maybe with planets of its own. He felt so amazed it almost made him dizzy. "Have you always lived here?" he asked, breaking the silence. He knew it was a simple question, but he couldn't help himself. He wanted to know everything about this amazing woman and her world. She tilted her head, her silver hair falling over her shoulder like a waterfall of moonlight. "Kailos is where I was born," she replied softly. "But my ancestors came from beyond the stars." She looked at him, and he saw a longing in her eyes, a yearning for something beyond her own world. He understood that yearning because he felt it too. They were both explorers, drawn to the unknown. It was a connection that went beyond their different worlds, their different species. It was the language of curiosity, spoken by those who looked at the stars and dreamt of what was out there. They talked for hours, or maybe it was only minutes. Time didn't seem to matter as they shared their stories, their hopes, their dreams. He told her about Earth, a world of blue oceans and green land, full of life. He described the busy cities, the tall mountains, the vast deserts. He talked about humanity's good deeds and bad deeds, its ability to love greatly and destroy terribly. She listened carefully, her bright eyes reflecting the starlight. When he talked about Earth's beauty, he saw a little sadness in her eyes, a longing for a world she'd never known. But when he talked about humanity's flaws, she listened with kindness and understanding. It was like she saw the good in his species, even when he struggled to see it himself. She told him about Kailos, a world shaped by ancient wisdom and respect for nature. She talked about her people's connection to the stars, their ability to use the energy of the cosmos. She described their art, their music, their philosophy, a rich history of knowledge. And she talked about her own dreams of exploring the universe, of meeting other intelligent life, of building friendships across space. As the stars moved across the sky, their laughter echoed across the quiet dunes. It was a sound that seemed both strange and familiar, a sign that joy was the same, even between beings from different worlds. As the first light of dawn painted the eastern sky with gold and purple, James knew it was time to leave. He had a job to do, a report to write. But as he got ready, he hesitated, not wanting to break the magic of their meeting. He had traveled light years to reach this world, but it was meeting this amazing woman that made him feel like he'd found something truly special, something rare and precious. He turned to her, feeling both sad and grateful. "I must go," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "But I won't forget you, or this." He pointed to the sky, to the vastness around them. She smiled, her eyes full of understanding. It was a smile that spoke of countless stories, of journeys taken and dreams pursued. Her eyes, deep and knowing, seemed to hold the secrets of the universe, a silent promise of the wonders that lay ahead. "The stars remember," she whispered, her voice soft as stardust. Each word was a delicate thread, weaving a tapestry of memories and hopes. "They hold our stories, our dreams and our love. In their light, we are eternal." "And so will we." She reached out, her hand warm against his. The touch was a bridge connecting their souls across the vast expanse of space. It was a promise, a bond that would endure beyond time and distance. "Go now, traveler. May your journey be filled with wonder." Her voice carried the weight of 1,000 goodbyes, yet it was filled with hope and encouragement. "May you find what you seek, and may the stars guide you always." And with a final nod, she turned and walked away, her silver hair shining like moonlight. Each step she took seemed to echo through the desert, a silent farewell that lingered in the air. The moonlight bathed her in a soft glow, making her appear almost ethereal. James watched her go, his heart aching. He felt a profound sense of loss, yet also a deep gratitude for the moments they had shared. Her presence had been a beacon of light in his life, and now, as she faded into the distance, he vowed to carry that light within him. He knew they might never see each other again, but he would keep her memory with him, a light of hope in the vastness of space. The stars above seemed to twinkle with a newfound brilliance, as if acknowledging the bond they shared. He felt a sense of peace, knowing that their connection would transcend the physical distance. He had come to Kepler 186f looking for life, but he had found something much greater, a connection that went beyond worlds, a bond that defied the boundaries of space and time. It was a reminder that the universe was vast and full of mysteries, yet it was also a place where hearts could find each other no matter the distance, a reminder that even in the endless universe, love and wonder could be found in the most unexpected places. The desert, with its stark beauty and star-filled sky, had become a symbol of their connection. It was a place where dreams and reality intertwined, where the impossible became possible. As his spacecraft took off, flying towards the stars, he knew his journey had just begun. The vast expanse of space stretched out before him, filled with endless possibilities and new horizons. He felt a sense of excitement and anticipation, knowing that each new star he encountered would bring new adventures and discoveries. He carried the memory of her starlight smile, a promise whispered on the cosmic wind, a beacon of hope that would guide him through the darkest nights. Her smile was a reminder of the love and connection they shared, a light that would never fade. A reminder that the universe was full of possibilities, and somewhere out there among the stars, destiny awaited. The stars, with their infinite brilliance, held the promise of new beginnings and endless adventures. And as he journeyed through the cosmos, he knew that he was never truly alone, for her memory would always be with him, guiding him towards the cosmic horizon.